Welcome to Blowin Smoke, ladies and gentlemen. AJ Gaynor with you here on the Talk America Radio Network. Thank you very much for tuning in. I dig the music, the opening music. I still dig it after it's almost, it's a year and a half now, a little more than that, and I'm still into the Blowin Smoke theme song. Thank you, Mr. Dar. To pick up off of last week's show, we did the hurricane episode. It was 2 shows in a row where I was coming to you before a major hurricane hit the U.S., and I just want to weigh back in. We're still thinking about the folks impacted by Harvey. We're also thinking about the folks impacted by Irma. But thank goodness this storm didn't do all that it could. And it didn't do that worst case scenario that was so adequately and specifically and in detailed fashion laid out for us that could have gone wrong. There was absolutely an opportunity for catastrophic destruction and something that we hadn't seen from this kind of hurricane ever before, but it did not happen that way. And fortunately enough, my brother's home in the Tampa area was spared. A couple fence panels down on the fence in the backyard. Of course, suffered without power. I believe they got it back today, which was Friday, which was the 15th. That's when they got their power back where they're located. But still, folks dealing with it. And as I said on the show, this is something that takes days and days and days. That's why I will suffer the blizzards of North Dakota any day, or 2 days, or 3, rather than the weeks and weeks of hurricane consequences, much less the hours and hours of the impact itself. But let's remember and let's recognize these hurricanes cooled the waters of the Gulf. These storms have that cooling effect. That's how so many trillions of gallons of water gets dumped on the Houston and South Texas, Louisiana area, is that hot water from the Gulf evaporates and turns itself into the rainfall of a hurricane, and it has that cooling effect. So another example of how our weather and the weather events that we experience in our lifetimes, and even since the dawn of humanity, are but a drop in the bucket of what has gone on this planet in all of the years, depending on what you believe, the billions of years or not. We know nothing. We are Jon Snows, all of us, as far as our climate goes. We know nothing. And it's okay to know nothing. It's okay to still be in a position of victimhood and exposure to Mother Nature and to her elements. It's okay. It's not ideal. I think maybe we'll understand and have a much more advanced system of everything if we were to reach that level where we could affect our planet's climate, our planet's weather. It's just, we're not there yet, and that gets proven to us with every hurricane. But thank goodness it was not worse, and our hearts go out to the victims at the funeral home. That's what it ended up turning into, the nursing home in Florida that was a block away from the hospital. And we're going to find out what happened with all of this, but the children and families of these 8 individuals that have passed, and hopefully none more will pass that are still in intensive care. They're right to be angry. They're right to be incensed. They're right to demand justice, and I hope we'll all pay attention to that as much as we pay attention to the help that is given during the storm to those that are evacuating and being flooded out, and the unity we've seen in the community. That community unity, if I may, needs to be applied to holding accountable the folks responsible for these deaths at the nursing home in Florida. I hope we will be just as on task in prosecuting the investigation. Let me put it that way. Well, as you know, North Korea, as I said on the show and as we knew, as we were being told for several days, week and a half, they were going to launch another missile soon after the nuclear test that they set off, I guess, 10 days ago. It's a laughable matter now, isn't it? They are doing what we've heard, that phrase, saber rattling, but again, they launched that missile last night. For when I'm doing this show, it's last night. And we spoke about it last week. I've spoke about it several times on the show, and they were speaking about it this morning on Fox News on Outnumbered, Friday the 15th. Juan Williams joined the crew. Best dressed crew on Fox, I've got to say. But Kennedy was discussing whether or not North Korea was begging for war, and if it was fair to say, or to characterize their actions and their behaviors as begging for war. She posed that question to Juan, and I'm paraphrasing. but it set me on a course of thought, and I want to share that with you. And Juan's response was something along the lines of, he was worried about the collateral damage that would be done with any military action concerning North Korea, and that's South Korea, our servicemen and women there, 30,000 strong, I believe, plus Japan, China, the region. He was worried about the collateral damage, and it's a valid concern. Collateral damage is always a valid concern. I think back on the incredible collateral damage done during World War II and the millions of lives lost between all of the different players in the war, regardless of which side you were on, the winners or losers. You lost civilian life. Some countries at levels way heavier than others. And it's always tragic. The collateral damage of communism, tens of millions between all of the big major attempts, China, Russia, throughout the decades, North Korea. Now we're seeing Venezuela, where they're urging folks to enjoy rabbit. They're not just pets. Socialism is wonderful. It lets you try new foods. That's what's going on in Venezuela, because socialism is so awesome. But collateral damage is always a problem. And Juan brought up a great point, but I recognized, I've brought it up on the show before, it reminded me. We've discussed collateral damage before. And the left, the Democrats, won. The leftists, the progressives in this country, there are certain levels of collateral damage they are willing to accept. What is collateral damage? Someone might be saying. Most of you will know. But it is the injury inflicted on something other than the intended target. Civilian casualties, usually from a military operation. That's what Juan was talking about with his reference to this in North Korea. I am discussing this as in the injury inflicted on something other than the intended target. I feel like this argument is a common theme from the left and the anti-war left. The anti-war group, that would extend to libertarians, to anyone who is anti-war. And I hear you, AJ, are you not anti-war? We'll get there. We're going to discuss that in this episode today. But this is a common argument, and it's always about what we can't do because of the consequences that may occur if we do act. It's given as wisdom. It's given as deep thought. It's given as in an almost smug manner where they're really the ones thinking more deeply about this. And if we can simply avoid military conflict due to the risk of collateral damage, well, we'll come out on this smelling great. And what I've positioned and put forward on the show before is that sometimes we have to decide whether or not the collateral damage that we suffer for acting is less than the overall collateral damage that we receive for not acting. But as I say, to the left, there are kinds of acceptable collateral damage. And so what kind of collateral damage is acceptable to folks that think along the lines of a Juan Williams and that political ideology of the left and the Democrat Party these days? Well, let's think about this kind of collateral damage. How about the collateral damage that comes from Roe v. Wade? Oh, it's real. From 1973 to 2014, 59 million babies have been aborted. That is the collateral damage of a policy that legalizes the killing of a child in the womb. All of the other discussions about it are secondary, because the reality is that a female human will only give birth to another human being. That human being is our equal, especially if you're a bleeding heart liberal who wants to tout rights and the importance of being part of the community. Well, every single one of those 59 million babies that have been killed since Roe v. Wade and the decision was handed down and abortion became legal, they're collateral damage. They're acceptable collateral damage to the liberal Democrat Party of these days, this 21st century world. That's the Democrat Party. Dinesh D'Souza has done a wonderful job of illustrating the history of the Democrat Party, what the Democrat Party was, and where it came from to become what it is today. But think of the difference between the Ku Klux Klan being the brown shirt version of the Democrat, the strong arm version of the wing of the Democrat Party back then, and today, excuse me, you have a simple Supreme Court decision handed down and funded through all of the court systems up and down throughout it. You didn't have to put on any sheets. You didn't have to burn any crosses. You didn't have to do anything other than use America's own judicial system, and you get Roe v. Wade, and you get 59 million babies aborted. What a success. No, it's not. It's not good for the country to kill 59 million babies. in 41 years. That number is significant. I must take a break. Please check out the folks willing to advertise on the program. Stay tuned. There's more collateral damage that the left and the Democrat Party, the people like Hillary Clinton, the people like Juan Williams, Nancy Pelosi, the charlatan Schumer, there's more collateral damage that they're willing to accept. And we'll talk about it right after this. Stay tuned.
How did you become addicted? A friend? Were you at a party and someone said, "Hey, try this"? Then you got the cold sweats and started shaking. And the more you did it, the more it didn't work. So you switched to the needle. Now you're a train wreck. Drinking, drugging, broke. Your family hates you. And you hate you. Get out of your hell on earth now. Call the Detox and Treatment Helpline today for immediate help. In many cases, your insurance may cover the costs. We can't guarantee it, but we can guarantee we have what you need to change your life for the better. Pick up your cell phone and call right now. 800-287-7891. 800-287-7891. 800-287-7891. That's 800-287-7891.
Let's dance. Let's dance.
Welcome back to Blowin Smoke, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Talk America Radio Network. We're discussing collateral damage because it's one of those phrases, it's one of those ideas that's thrown out as a reason to not act by the anti-war left, the anti-war center, by anyone who doesn't believe that we should engage in military conflict. They put forth that collateral damage is the only reason necessary to not act. And that of course, collateral damage is horrible, it's awful. To me, it's a given part of the argument or the debate and discussion about going to wars, whether or not the collateral damage is worthwhile. It's part of the consideration before one would say, yes, let's act. And so it should be discussed. But when someone, and this was triggered for me, if I may use the term, by checking out Outnumbered on Fox on Friday morning, the 15th, and Juan Williams was on there, and he talked about the collateral damage that may come from our acting to nip this North Korea issue in the bud. And the collateral damage to our friends in the region, allies, the U.S. servicemen and women in the region, and these are all, it's a valid point, it's a valid concern. For myself, I feel like the collateral damage that would come from acting to disarm and to change the situation in North Korea would be much less than the collateral damage of allowing them to finish their nuclear program. I still recognize that this idea of collateral damage exists in all of the other arguments that we have with the left and liberalism and the Democrat Party in this country these days. There is collateral damage that is acceptable to the left and to Democrats, to Hillary Clinton, to Pelosi, to Schumer, to Juan Williams. The first example of that was the 59 million babies that have been aborted since 1973 to 2014. That number's much larger now, probably well over 60 million. Someone out there knows the number. And whether I'm off by 5 million or not, the number is staggering and it's disgusting. Those babies that did not get the opportunity to grow up in this amazing country are collateral damage for the nonsense about a woman's body. I must be frank, it's nonsense. Each of these babies aborted had a body of their own and their own DNA. That cannot be avoided. So don't tell me about what it is about a woman's body that they have the right to when what they're doing is killing another body with different DNA. I digress. More collateral damage that the left and the Democrat Party of the 21st century will accept, the African American poverty rate. That's one. How about that collateral damage to their policies? Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, Memphis, St. Louis, where? Name the city. Name the city. Think of the major U.S. city with a struggling black community, and you see an example of the acceptable collateral damage for folks on the left, like Juan Williams, like Nancy Pelosi, like Sally Cohn, that type. How about the collateral damage done to our economy through excessive regulation, through liberal policies being implemented for decades in these cities? How about these socialist economic policies that have been implemented over the years in our agriculture industry and other industries as well? progressivism in our education policies. What about the collateral damage done there? That's acceptable to the Democrats, to the leftists. Another example of current events today, DeVos and the desire to redact or pull out and take away that part of Title IX that allowed college campuses, regardless of what the police had found, whether they'd found anything at all, to pursue their own action against accused sexual offenders. The folks who are wrongly accused, when the victim lies, those folks are collateral damage to the left. It's incredible. Juan Williams, I know he tries hard. I don't believe he's a bad man. I just believe he believes things that are wrong and somehow, for some reason, has not connected the dots to understand why they're wrong. But he and his type have no problem with the collateral damage to our allies that we're seeing from North Korea by their launches and their saber-rattling through weak Democrat administration foreign policy. During the Clinton administration, during the Obama administration, North Korea flourished. That is why we're dealing with it today. That is Democrat administration foreign policy. Look at the Middle East. After the Arab Spring of the Democratic administration under Obama, Libya, Afghanistan, and again, North Korea. And you know what else? Here's the big one for me. And this is how I've referenced it on the show in the past. I hope you were tuning in then. If not, I'll do it again here. Collateral damage that is acceptable to the Democrat Party, to the leftists, to Antifa, to BLM, to the the communists, the anarchists. Yeah, that's the word I was searching for, the anarcho-communists. Collateral damage is acceptable to them in the form of the victims of terrorism. I believe it. Every victim of a terrorist act, anywhere, anytime. It's acceptable. It's collateral damage for the left and the folks that think like them because of diversity of culture, diversity, right? Oh, American values. We have to let everybody in regardless. Doesn't matter who they are, where they're from. No, come on in. No, absolutely, come on in. No, we don't. The collateral damage that's done when we do that is acceptable to the left. The mayor of London, you'll remember, if you listen to talk shows like mine and on a regular basis, you will have heard. For him and for other liberals, we just have to learn to live with it. It's the new reality that if you live in a populated area, you might become the victim of a terrorist attack. You are, by definition, that statement to me says that individual believes we're just going to be the collateral damage. There's just going to be these jihadists, these Islamic terrorists are going to come into your neighborhood. They're going to blow themselves up, folks. You just got to live with it. No, because if we do, we die with it. We don't have to live with it, because if we try to live with it, we die with it. Why in the world should we accept the idea that we need to accept this as a normal, as just a risk of everyday life, that some Islamic jihadist will just blow himself up at the preteen concert in Birmingham, or that another one will go into the gay nightclub in Florida and kill nearly 50 people? No. Why do we hear people called Islamophobic? Why do we hear about that? Why do we hear about Islam and Muslims and their need for defense? Why do we hear about that? Because we're told that religious freedom is the most important thing. Well, did you hear about the 9/11 memorial where one of the firefighters that was invited to speak prayed, and one of the atheist groups suing or did sue or wrote a letter? It was some kind of harsh overreaction by an atheist group to a prayer at a 9/11 memorial. The same folks who will defend radical Islam, fundamental Islam, or the theocracy of Islam, or a nation state being ruled by the fundamental practices and dogma of Islam, will do so in the name of religious freedom here in America. But those same individuals will stand up against the Ten Commandments in a courtroom or a state house. They will stand up against prayer in schools. They will stand up to take the word God, out of the Pledge of Allegiance. The same folks who will stand up and say global warming is one of the causes of radical Islamic terrorism, they will oppose prayer in schools. It's absolutely ridiculous. Liberals and leftists accept the collateral damage in the form of the victims of terrorist attacks because of cultural diversity. That's another phrase they use. And they also use the phrase Western values or American values to defend the idea that we should just flood millions upon millions of refugees from the Middle East, Muslims who are fleeing war-torn countries to this country, and try to assimilate them And we have seen what that does. It does not work. It has never worked. It will never work. It did not work in the Roman times. It will not work today. And so, when you hear someone from the left use the term collateral damage in discussion of any subject, you can know that they aren't being sincere with you. 59 million little babies put to death, just so a leftist can be right. 27% poverty rate in the African American community, just so that leftists can be right about how to help them. Venezuelans being told to eat rabbits, all so that socialism can be what is practiced and be the ruling thought process and ideology of the day. Tens of millions to be killed through starvation because communism must be the utopia it sounds like it should be from the book that you read. That's the collateral damage that is acceptable to the left and the Democratic Party. I suggest that the collateral damage done when we act to remove the kinds of danger and dangerous actors from the world stage is something that we can forgive ourselves for through prayer, through meditation, through wisdom, because we'll understand that the impact that that individual, that current Kim in North Korea is having on the world, and especially on the 4 million North Koreans that he oppresses beneath his thumb, his fat little thumb. Whatever collateral damage we do, the positive change and effect that we have on the situation will far outweigh whatever negative impact would be had, especially for ourselves, our allies in Japan, our allies in South Korea, and whether the Chinese know it or not themselves as well. We got to take a break. We'll be back. We're going to talk about DACA, the Dems, and the Rhinos. Oh my. Stay tuned. Talk America Radio Network.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. That's 800-296-1289.
Are you tired of paying high prices for TV channels you don't watch? Of course you are. You want to watch and pay for the channels you like. Now you can take back control of your TV with Dish's Flex Pack. Get over 50 of America's favorite channels for just $39.99 per month, and then add the channel packs that you want. And your TV price won't go up for 2 years, guaranteed. Plus, when you call today, you'll get free standard installation in up to 6 rooms and a free HD DVR upgrade. Need more channels? Dish offers loaded channel lineups from $54.99 per month, featuring over 190 channels, and HBO is included for a full year. And for a limited time, GoDish will give you a $100 prepaid Visa card when you sign up and mention offer code GIFT100. Call now, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573.
Packages, prices, and promotions subject to change. Gift card courtesy of GoDish.com. Call for details.
Welcome back to Blowin Smoke, ladies and gentlemen. AJ Gaynor with you. Thanks for tuning in. As I do the show things are unhappy in St. Louis. A lot of folks out there protesting over the acquittal of the former cop with the shooting from back in the day, and a lot of angry folks. I kind of understand that they're angry. I understand that there's a lot of anger and frustration inside of them, and that in this situation that comes out. I'm not saying that there's a whole lot of bad stuff happening at the time I do the show right now. That's not what I mean. But what I have seen where reporters have had the opportunity to speak to people marching or walking along with the marchers, they're angry about a lot of things. And I don't think that the sole act that took place that resulted in the death of that individual in the car chase shot by that cop, this event itself is all by itself the only catalyst in this situation. Some information that is important to keep clear about what took place with that shooting was that there's this story that the cop had his personal weapon with him, and he did. And that's seen in video, and this and that, but that weapon was not used, it was not fired. So it's, I guess, a detail, it's information, it's a fact, but it didn't play a role in the event. It was simply another alternative fact. Can I use that phrase? I wanted to talk a few minutes, though, about DACA, because that's become an issue now. Trump tweeted during the week, this and that. He had the dinner with Chuck and Nancy, this and that, made the deal with them after Hurricane Harvey. And so there's all this worry now about Trump and DACA and his tweet, and Trump supporters who are very upset, there's an outcry. There's some of them, I think of them as maybe the reactionary element of the Trump train, because every train has an element about it that would be reactionary. It's part of human nature for there to be reactionary folks and people whose emotional response are their physical and behavioral response as well. And so it's happening. But it's important to remember the MSM loves it, and they'll exploit that, and they'll make very public those amongst Trump supporters who vent their emotional frustration the quickest and the soonest without all the information and the most extreme versions of it. But my own take, I try to be one who doesn't react too strongly or emotionally to headlines and one-liners and tweets, stuff under 140 characters. My take is that it's too early to be too panicky over unwritten agreements and legislation that hasn't been written yet. We know Trump is the deal maker. We know he's going to try to craft a deal in this. Whether that deal is made, whether there actually ends up being a deal, or if there is a deal made and then they actually keep it, or if the deal fails, that might not even be the point for POTUS. That might not be the point for Trump. I think we've heard the talk of the long game that he plays, and I think that there's some angle there on this. I know I'm not the only one who's thinking this way, but I'm not sure that the long game that I'm picturing is the same one that these other folks have referenced. I believe that Trump, in his attempt to deal with the Democrats on DACA or with the budget or any legislation, including Obamacare, it would force the people that are submitting terms, the two sides of the deal making, to come forward and put forth their ideas for the deal. They would submit their terms, their desires, their policies. Each side would do that. And that would all be part of the negotiation process. And we would be aware of that negotiating process because Trump tweets. And because Nancy and Chuck go to the media and like to talk about what they've gotten from Trump. And Ryan and McConnell would rush to the media to talk about what they've gotten out of the situation. So we would then all be learning what's taking place in this negotiation on whatever deal and whatever legislation or problem being solved, whatever it is. We, the people, as a result of this dealing that he's doing, will be given the chance to hear how differently Democrats approach taxation versus Republicans, how differently Dems approach immigration than Republicans, spending than Republicans, amnesty. All of these deals, the wall, foreign policy, North Korea, whatever it is, when Trump says, let's have dinner, let's have talks, let's make a deal, he's saying, let's get out in the open what all of us want. And we're going to find out what the American people want. And then I'm going to do what I decide is the right thing. That's why I don't think that it's time to burn Trump hats. What we will see in all of these negotiations and these situations where Dems or whoever it is, Ryan, whoever it is, go to deal or make deals with Trump, they will reiterate, the Dems anyway, the Dems will reiterate what they did and said for the 8 years of the Obama administration. And Trump's side of the deal and the Republicans, that approach will be demonstrating whatever it ends up being. For instance, if in the budget situation, if Trump decides to say, no, I want 15% for corporates, I want this loophole closed so that someone who's a billionaire pays a little bit higher tax rate, we're going to find out what the Dems want, what the Republicans want, and we're going to then get to decide what we think makes much more sense. There's going to be all the discussion that we see now about issues done then. We'll have all that discussion. And all the while, whatever ends up being done, Trump presides over it. He's there above it all, driving the conversation, being the pragmatic leader, and most importantly, I believe, he's setting up the debates and the talking points for the 2018 midterm elections. In other words, all of this deal-making that he does, all of this negotiation that takes place, we will learn who stands where on what. We have a situation where you can look at every candidate, Republican or Democrat, that is up for re-election in these midterms in 2018. And what I see happening is that these candidates will have challengers in these states. Heidi Heitkamp, Paul Ryan, whoever they may be. We've seen the list on Twitter. There's 6 or 7 here, 12 of that, whatever. But each of those candidates, challengers, are going to have ammunition to go against these incumbents. These candidates, challengers, will have all the examples they need to expose the incumbents, like Ryan, like McConnell, like Heitkamp here in North Dakota. I believe North Dakota is going to go red. I really do. But Trump is putting everyone in Congress on the spot and saying, make your stand. Cast your votes. And we'll see what happens in 2018, because he's saying, this is Trump, this is me impersonating him. I'm not going to do an impersonation, but this is me speaking for him or guessing his attitude. He's saying, make your stand, cast your votes. We'll see what happens in 2018, because I'll still be here. And the American people want me to do what they sent me here to do. And so I believe we're setting up. I think there are many who think that there will be a Democratic swing in the upcoming midterms. I don't think that. I look for a turnover of some Republican incumbents to new Republicans, to rookie Republicans. I see, as I mentioned, North Dakota going red, Heitkamp being replaced by a Republican. I see whether Ryan is reelected or not, I don't believe he'll finish 2018 as Speaker of the House. I'm making my predictions. That's okay. I'll hope to remember to revisit this to see if I get all of them right or just most. But I believe, as I said, I don't believe that Ryan will finish as Speaker, as 2018 as Speaker. I also predict another defection in the form of Joe Manchin from West Virginia, my home state, where it's where I grew up. I believe that he will either switch to the Republican Party or to the Independent Party. I don't believe he'll remain a Democrat after 2018. I think it'll happen within these next 15 months. I think that, as his governor did, he will switch as well. I could be wrong, but I'm looking forward to finding out. I believe as well that the counties that Trump won, they will become the districts that elect Republicans that embrace an America First policy. I believe it. I hope you want the same things. I hope you'll work for the same things, because nobody else in the world, folks, has any skin in our game here. Nowhere else are they going to act to make sure that we retain our rights in our Constitution, our representative republic. It's not going to happen. It's up to us. No one other than an American will be able or willing to act to preserve our nation, our Constitution, or our way of life. It's just not going to happen. Those people do not exist. They want to come here and take advantage of our system, not protect it. And that is a big, big difference. Democrats agree with America's detractors and are openly ashamed of our country. Hillary, Pelosi, you name them. Why would we give people who hate this country so much the ability to lead it? Why would we elect Democrats in any state, anywhere, to any office? Democrat voters, I ask you, how can the politicians you've elected represent you if they believe so much? And that so much is wrong with the country you and they inhabit. How can they be effective leaders? They're not, as we saw with the Obama administration and the Clinton administration, they're not working to fix it. They're working to change it. That means they do not appreciate it. I would get it across concisely to you this way, an analogy. If you owned an NFL team, an NFL franchise, would you hire the head coach who spent all of his time while with other teams criticizing and running down and belittling your franchise, its players, and half of your fans? Do you think that that would be the guy that would come in and help you win? I don't think that that would be the guy. The Democrat Party is dying a deserved and slow death because it does the very thing I just described. The Dems are all those football coaches who demean their own franchises, players, and fans and keep their jobs as head coach year after year. In the real world, we don't see that, but we do in the world of politics. I saw a meme, it said Congress, an 11% approval rating, 97.4% reelection rate, something like that. Absolutely ridiculous. They are, to stick with the analogy, head coaches year after year, sabotaging the league they're a part of, spending too much of their owners' money, and railing away at anyone who doesn't think they're legendary. We need to stop electing people who hate America. It may be just as easy as that for us to see the kind of change in this country that we can believe in. I got to take another break. Check out the folks kind enough to advertise on the show here, and we'll be back. We're going to talk about more NOCO. Oh no. Yeah, it's right after this. This is Blowin Smoke, the Talk America Radio Network.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. That's 800-472-5145.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all states. Product availability varies.
Are you tired of paying high prices for TV channels you don't watch? Of course you are. You want to watch and pay for the channels you like. Now you can take back control of your TV with Dish's Flex Pack. Get over 50 of America's favorite channels for just $39.99 per month, and then add the channel packs that you want. And your TV price won't go up for 2 years, guaranteed. Plus, when you call today, you'll get free standard installation in up to 6 rooms and a free HD DVR upgrade. Need more channels? Dish offers loaded channel lineups from $54.99 per month, featuring over 190 channels, and HBO is included for a full year. And for a limited time, GoDish will give you a $100 prepaid Visa card when you sign up and mention offer code GIFT100. Call now, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573.
Packages, prices, and promotions subject to change. Gift card courtesy of GoDish.com. Call for details.
Welcome back, folks. Appreciate you joining us here on the Talk America Radio Network. This is Blowin Smoke. I'm AJ, talking about NOCO, North Korea. Another launch over Japan. The launch we were warned about did happen. And there have been new sanctions leveled on the current Kim there in North Korea. And the AP reports that Kim, this is about 3 hours ago, before I did the show here on the 15th, that Kim Jong-un is vowing to complete his nuke program anyway, regardless of these new sanctions that we watched Haley and McMasters discuss today in the press briefing. Is anybody surprised by the statement that he will continue his program to complete it? Probably not. The thing that surprises me, the thing that I am surprised about, is that he used the word vowing to complete. Use the word complete the nuclear program. Seriously. It indicates that it is not complete. I don't think that the North Korean leader would say that openly. I don't think that he would want to indicate any weakness or incompleteness or any lack of ability whatsoever. And I believe the Norks are smart enough to recognize the importance of that word in that statement and that they used it for a reason. I believe their program is complete. I think that's why we saw that test 10 or so days ago, and that's why we see these launches consistently, because they're done and they're going through the final stages of mating it all together. I believe their program is complete. I believe that the final step has been completed. I think, though, for them, the true final step for this kind of regime, for this kind of madness, I worry that that final step is using the technology that they have mastered. That's what I worry about. And interestingly enough, well, I want to ask this question. Since I believe and since I worry that the North Koreans are the folks that are willing and certainly willing and possibly now capable of using nuclear weapons, I want to ask the question, why must we worry, us American citizens, of being attacked or aggressed upon before we act to defend ourselves? This situation that's going on with the Norks, it's coinciding with something. This past week, Rand Paul attempted to introduce a measure to restore war power to Congress. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now, but it failed. And I have to say, I'm kind of glad that it did, because I don't trust our Republican Congress to act in our own interest. I really don't. Otherwise, President Trump's agenda would be implemented by now. It would have been done just like that. I think that our Republican Congress, since the beginning of 2017, has proven that they have other intentions. There are other things on their minds other than implementing our president's agenda, doing what they said they would do if we elected them. And, look, if my desire for our country to use its greatness to make our world a safer place, a better place, if that makes me a war hawk, I'll accept that, because I do want the world to be a safer place, and I believe that the things that really are our true values, the things that make Western civilization so valuable to the planet and to human being with a capital B, are basic human rights. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, freedom, individuality, opportunity, all of that is wrapped up in the great American experiment. Those ideas, I believe, will create a more peaceful world. But in order for that to take place, we have to win victory after victory after victory, many times over, just like we did in the Revolutionary War, to establish this great country. We have to continue to win battles and wars against those who would wish to take it away from us. They're not going to give up easily. Who are they, AJ? Well, they're Kim Jong-un, they're Putin, they're Assad, they're, what's his name in Venezuela? Cuba, Maduro, all of those folks. That's who they are. They are the enemy of freedom and liberty, individuality, opportunity, capitalism, free markets, uniqueness. They hate it. They hate individuality. They hate our consumerism. They hate our freedom. They hate us because of the way we live and because of what we enjoy and what too many of us take for granted. And so, as I say, if my desire for us to use our power, our influence, our ability, our prowess to introduce these ideas of freedom and individuality and opportunity and free markets to the world, I'll take it. If that's because we'll have to win peace through victory. That's how peace is achieved. It is through victory. These segments they go so quickly, but I wanted to give a big shout out to Frank. You guys heard about Frank, the 11-year-old boy. He wrote a letter to Trump about mowing lawns and making money and so on and so forth, admiring Trump's business past, and he asked to be able to mow the lawn of the White House. So they let him mow a section of lawn out there. Got to see video footage of the young man heaving and huffing over a heavy push mower. I think it had that drive in it so that he wasn't pushing all of it. But what a cutie. What a really neat little thing for him to be able to do. And another sign, I think, that our president is a benefactor. He is someone who wants to act in the benefit of the people that he is fortunate enough to lead. And fortunate enough, yes, it might be tough to describe it that way these days with the way he is treated, but he is fortunate. And he knows it. And I'm going to enjoy watching over the next 8 years as he continues to do what he does, in spite of the rhinos, in spite of the establishment, in spite of the swamp, in spite of the Democrats, Antifa, BLM. what he could do as a result of his 8 years in office is really neat to think about, and I'm going to enjoy watching, and I think you will as well. I wanted to touch on something. There was a picture on Twitter shared, Jack Posobiec, who I follow, he retweeted it, and it was a photo of one of the Antifa members who was arrested recently. I think it might have been in St. Louis today as I do the show, as a matter of fact. There were 13 arrested earlier during a scuffle with the police in St. Louis. That changed. It became a peaceful march. I don't know now what it's turned into. Who knows? Well, you know by now. But one of the photos, one of the women who was arrested, I don't know if she identifies as a woman or not, but I'm going to stick with that cisgender pronoun use. She got a picture with Hillary Clinton earlier this year, and I would guess, based on that, a supporter and voted for Hillary Clinton. And I wanted to bring that up. I wanted to point that out for everyone, even if you're a Democrat listening right now. Remember that Antifa and BLM and the anarchists and the communists, the socialists, they're all Hillary voters. They're all Sanders voters. They're Schumer voters. They're Pelosi voters. They're the folks who stand with violence and aggression, the stripping of our constitutional rights, our Bill of Rights, those rights, individual rights from us, simply because we have a different political view. We believe in different political policy. And I just want to throw that out there, because when these politicians stand next to these people and do not come out against them harshly enough, you've heard the criticism President Trump has gotten for saying what he said, condemning all violence. Well, these folks on the Democrat side of the aisle are not strong enough in their condemnation of the behaviors of too many of the folks in their base. And I just wanted to throw out there. I'm not saying that if you're a Democrat, you have to become a Republican. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that as long as you're voting for Democrats now in the 21st century, you're voting for people who behave as the modern version of the brown shirts for the National Socialist Party in Germany in the 30s. That is how they're behaving. It's on video. We see it on major cable news shows all of the time. That is who they are. And if you're a Democrat voter, the people that you have elected to office stand with them. And that is, what can one say about that? What can you say? How is it? I guess, I was asked, how can I defend Trump's comments? I was asked that. I don't have to. His comments defend themselves. But I'm going to ask you, how can you defend Antifa? How can you defend the Democrat Party not snuffing that fire out before it got too big? How can you defend the Democrat Party allowing it to go as far as it has? I'm not sure that it's defensible. Before we finish up here, folks, a quick book to shove in your skull. I'm about to finish. I'm just pages away from finishing In the Days of the Comet by H.G. Wells. I'm very surprised at this book. I would recommend it. This book lays out, I would say, I guess, from my own interpretation, H.G. Wells' vision of a socialist utopia without all of the armies and the guns. And I'm very surprised after reading 1984, an Animal Farm, but I'm surprised at the seeming dreaminess of this socialist utopia that results from the events in the book, and how it plays out and what is actually implemented, and the way he describes the cultural reality of England in the setting of this work of fiction. The ugly, useless redundancy of the churches and the chapels. That's one example. The dreary, smudged, coal-blacked valleys, some of the things that he talks about, you can tell that he was a very unhappy young person in England where he lived, and that maybe there was a bit of bitterness. And he's very open in this book. The character, as a youngster before the change that takes place, is a socialist, a devout one, an angry one, a murderous one, actually, that never commits a murder, but is still a murderous one. But as an H.G. Wells fan, and many of you, I guess, and would imagine are, this book was shocking, is shocking for me to read and to see, get a kind of a view into H.G. Wells' mind and what he thought about socialism and that utopia. In this book, it seems like a full endorsement. A quick pull quote from the back: "The end of the world or a new beginning." That's exactly what comes at the end of this book is that new beginning, and it's a socialist utopia that is achieved without the badges and the gavels and the guns. So it's interesting, but it's still shocking from H.G. Wells. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that we're all safe, that you're all safe. If you're in the South, in the south part of Texas, if you're in Florida, we're thinking about you, especially those folks around our 3 terrestrial stations there who are affected by Hurricane Irma. So thankful it is not worse. And we're always so pleased to see this incredibly charitable country do so much for those that suffer and need the help that so many of us are able to give. So keep it up, folks out in the U.S. Until next time, stay safe and bye, Earth.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. That's 800-472-5145.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all states. Product availability varies.
How did you become addicted? A friend? Were you at a party and someone said, hey, try this? Then you got the cold sweats and started shaking. And the more you did it, the more it didn't work. So you switched to the needle. Now you're a train wreck. Drinking, drugging, broke. Your family hates you. And you hate you. Get out of your hell on earth now. Call the Detox and Treatment Helpline today for immediate help. In many cases, your insurance may cover the costs. We can't guarantee it, but we can guarantee we have what you need to change your life for the better. Pick up your cell phone and call right now. 800-287-7891. 800-287-7891. 800-287-7891. That's 800-287-7891.